Any camera kit that you buy off Best Buy, you best just throw that lens away.
Or keep it in the backup just in case you need a little prop.
Yeah, you can smash the lens and get some cool effects out of it, you know?
God. Oh, man. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first Dropcast with Jonathan Downing, a.k.a. Camera.Cowboy, and TreySarmento.
A.k.a. TreySarmento.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people were making podcasts, and we decided to do the same, so let's see how it turns out.
Yeah, figured we could say a thing or two, you know, talk some shit.
So this first episode, we're going to talk a little bit about just kind of how we got into the film game and
who we are.
Yeah, exactly. So,
for those of you that don't know, we run Drop.Creative.
Mm-hmm. You're going to have to work with us. It might get a little clunky at first. We'll get the vibe down. So Drop.Creative is a production company that me and Trey run together. And we do everything from music videos, commercials, live events, not weddings.
Documentary work. Yeah, not weddings. No bridezillas, momzillas out here. We've had our fair share of those and have done enough to understand that that's not our gig. So, but yeah, documentaries, live event work, music videos, kind of finding our niche and our style throughout all those outlets. And it's been a good time.
If you follow us on Instagram and you know us, you probably already know all those things. So just an introduction for everybody else.
Yeah. If we want to get back into the history of where we kind of came to fruition and where we came to sitting right here.
You want to start with Drop? That's going to be our beginning timeline.
We can roll it all the way back to like the Tslc days and kind of how we evolved past that and stuff. So really got to owe it all to WCC. I mean, we all met through WCC. It was me, you, and Liam Cares, the three amigos at first here, cranking it out. We were in a music studio at first, so we had access to a lot of different artists coming through needing music videos. So kind of tested the waters with that a little bit, and then kind of graduated on from there. But
and before we started on the Alpha series, Trey used to shoot video on a Nikon when I first met him.
That is true. I'll get into like the whole start of, I guess, what came to be like even further than TSLC here in a second. But I think the main reason for people that don't know why we switched the name TSLC to Drop.Creative was simply because no one could friggin' remember it. They were always like TSC.
Even my mom, she would always be like, "Yeah, what is your guys' production company name? Like TLS5 or something?" And I'm like, "No."
It was literally like everyone and literally their mom saying it. So
yeah,
we just couldn't get it down. So we were like, you know what, let's find something that kind of has a ring to it. And I think our friend Sean actually was the one who was like,
yeah, shout out to Sean Marshall. Actually, I've come to him for quite a few names.
Yeah, it was just kind of came from like, you're dropping a video, let's drop it. So
yeah, he was sitting on the couch and his hands were behind his head and he was like, within 10 seconds, he's like, "What about Drop? Like, what about, do you see that new Drop?" Just like, oh my God, that's perfect. And then we throw a little creative underneath it, and then it's like,
there we go.
Also, another thing too is before it was Drop.Creative and it was TSLC, that was TreySarmento and Liam Cares. Exactly. And then we were like, TSLC JD. That sucks.
That's way too many.
We're going to have to figure it out.
TSLC is confusing enough, yeah. And because at first it was just me and Liam working together, doing some small music videos here and there, like really early back in, like we were still in college and stuff. So
like 2016?
Something, yeah, that's when we started 2016. Yeah, early 2016. But yeah, we started off, like I said, while we were still in WCC, and like I knew you through mutual connections and stuff, and then kind of picked you up along the way. And
I remember I came into the studio and it was one desk in an office about this size with screens mounted everywhere. But it was all running off of one single laptop.
Oh yeah,
and I was
an
just
old 2015 laptop too.
Yeah,
MacBook
Pro. And I walked in and I was like, I've got a big iMac, and I have trouble working at home, and I can split rent with this studio space with you guys if I can just work here and do my own stuff. And then at that point, as soon as I brought the other computer in, it was just like all gas, no brakes, I guess.
Yeah, run it. We got 64 gigs of RAM now. Let's go.
Yeah, at the time it was a pretty big deal. It really helped out.
Yeah, no, that was a growing period for sure.
Keep in mind, I also didn't know anything about video. Like, I started doing video because I couldn't figure out how to get my GoPro to work on my own 2011 MacBook Pro.
Okay.
Because it was just 4K footage. So then I joined the program because I was like, oh, I need an extra credit. You know what I mean? I'll just do this video stuff and ask the questions to get my GoPro going. And then
talk a little bit more about that, like your very, very beginning on like why you picked up a GoPro in the first place and stuff, you know?
Well, other than being a complete narcissist who thought his life was so cool, he had to document all of it. I was going in and out of Detroit, and I was like really into the urbex scene and the graffiti scene and stuff. So what a better way to show it. Urbex?
Yeah.
It's like urban exploring. Oh. It's kind of like what you did, except on the ground level, not the rooftops.
Okay, more so like abandoned buildings.
Yeah, abandoned buildings. Yeah, so I was going in and out, and I was also hanging out with like a bunch of graffiti artists and stuff, and dabbled in it a little bit myself. And even though it doesn't seem very smart to do, we would record all of it, like just
little self-incriminating.
Yeah, going into those buildings and doing all that stuff. And
so you needed to go to school to learn how to motion track a blur onto your head, is what you're saying?
I mean, I saw that in some videos, and I was like, dude, how do they do that? But no, I mean, that's just what happened. And then I got in there, and actually Denard, he was really good friends with my roommate Jaron at the time, and he was laughing at me. He was like, you're doing what on what computer? And I was like, this. And I was like, dude, it's slowing down and everything. Like, he's like, well, look how much footage you have, and you're trying to save it to your disk space on your computer. And I was like, wait, so you mean I have to buy an external hard drive for that? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, how much is that? And he was like, I don't know, like $200. And I was like, what? The GoPro was $400. What is this?
Can't be dropping that kind of bread out here.
No. But I took the opportunity when I got into that studio, and I don't want to say weaseled my way in, but I kind of saw what was happening, and I was like, okay. I also realized that these guys are the guys that are doing what I want to be doing. So if I can just like chill with them and listen to what they say and do what they say, then I can learn. And I'm a pretty fast learner too. So like I just picked up quick, and like all of our classes were also together. So
yeah, I mean, you brought a lot to the table too as well. I mean, just initially joining in, I mean, your big computer was a big part of it, but just like your people skills and stuff. Like back then, I remember like talking to a client, I was like, fuck, I do not want to do that, you know? And like bringing you in, you had a lot more communication skills at the time, and that was like something that I really saw and was like, hey, he's a people person. Let's get him around. He can do all the talking for us.
Yeah, and I attribute that strictly to like serving tables, because I served tables on Main Street in downtown Ann Arbor and in Ypsi basically for like 7 years, and would bartend on occasion, not really, but it was still something that really helped me bloom in communication skills, and then also like problem solving skills, because when you're serving tables on a busy night, you got to be able to put out fires left and right. So it was just one of those things where I felt like I kind of naturally fit in, and you guys were really accepting, and like I said, taught me a lot. I basically would just pay attention to what you did and would just ask all the questions. And I would have to ask him multiple times, because it's funny. I'd be like, Trey, how do you do this and that? And he'd be like, what? Scoot over. And then he'd sit at the computer, and then his hands would just move so quick, like, do one of these. And it started off in Lightroom. Like, I knew how to use Premiere because I was doing that. But then in Lightroom and stuff with photography too, I owe a lot of that to you. And I was just watching it, and I was like, wait, go back, start over. And you're like, first of all, okay, these are my precious presets. I made all of them. Here you go. Just start with that, and we'll backtrack, and then I'll tell you what's wrong, and you can figure it out. So
yeah, I think I still use those presets to this day, actually.
I do too sometimes. They're good presets.
Not shabby.
And you made them all yourself too, and there's like 30 of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, maybe those will be available sometime later.
Yeah, who knows? You might want to get some color up. So,
right.
But yeah, I guess jumping into how I kind of got wrapped into all this before TSLC and stuff, like before high school and all that, I rode motocross and like snowboarded with all my buddies and stuff, and was super into that whole like action sports lifestyle. And that kind of always led me to wanting to create those cool videos that you're watching. I mean, back then it was on VHS, watching the old motocross videos and stuff, but always looking at those like, man, I want to be that guy behind the camera. And like, I didn't get my first DSLR till I was already out of high school. It was my second year of college that I got my first DSLR, which is a Nikon D750.
Now, was that an
no.
or was
it
that
was
a
not
WCC?
It wasn't a 750. It was worse than that. It was a D3200. My bad.
What do those sell for now? Like used?
200. I mean, like $50 maybe. I don't know. Like
Nice.
those are old. You know, those are. I mean, they're decent, I guess. But that was after I came back from Northern. So I really didn't get into like photography like seriously until after I was back from Northern, which I wish I was going there, or I wish I was like into photography going there, because it was like beautiful out there, you know, every single day was
Marquette.
like, yeah, I mean, it was 5 minutes to the slopes and stuff and all that. A couple buddies of mine out there too actually were big into filming and photography back then, and I was just kind of looking at them like, dang, like, again, sort of just like idolizing them, if you will. But yeah, back up before I got that camera, I just remember days, like, it's kind of comical thinking back on it, but like back on like uTorrent and like torrenting like Photoshop and stuff, and downloading some of the earliest versions of Photoshop, and like just the mentality of Photoshop when I was a kid was like this huge like holy grail of a software that was like thousands of dollars, you know, and I was like, man, I wish I could have that. And I remember finding a torrent, and it was like obviously so buggy and like not the real thing, and I didn't know what
crack it and everything.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't know what I was.
Yeah,
I didn't know what I was doing either. Like opening up Premiere or Photoshop, and it was just like, whoa, you know. So I always kind of had that like strive to create in that sense. But like I said, I didn't get a professional camera in my hands until after my first year of college. And when I did, I think some of the first stuff that really got me like hooked into photography was that urban exploring, except for where you were kind of ground level. My buddy Pappy, you know Pappy.
Yeah. You guys were young drifter shoots out here.
Yeah, that dude's killing it. He's doing some crazy stuff. But yeah, walking up hundreds of flights of stairs just to get to the roof of the Penobscot or the Guardian or one of these buildings, and shooting off the rooftops and stuff was kind of where I learned how to use a camera, and kind of the fundamentals of everything. Shooting in manual, doing all of that was like exploring these rooftops in Detroit like 6 years ago, you know. And
do you remember your first long exposure? Like, because I've seen some of your old stuff where you would be on the roof, and remember, we're talking about like way up there on the roof in the Raptors.
Yeah,
in the
rafters,
say.
It was, yeah. We may have been on like the Penobscot, like Big Red Ball, if you guys know what that is. So
back in the day,
maybe, I don't know.
Whoever listens to this, he wasn't up there. But if you know, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, I think that really, like, looking back on it, was like, man, I really wish I had a better understanding of photo and video being up there, because today you can't go up there anymore. Like, just in the past 5-6 years, how much Detroit has grown and like kind of gone on lockdown is crazy, to where you can't really go up there anymore unless you have like guided tours and what have you.
Tell them the thing about the picture. Yeah,
the Urban Explorer watch list.
Yeah.
So we were down in Detroit doing our thing, you know, trying to find, I mean, so side note, we would climb flights of stairs, like 50, 60 flights of stairs, and get to the top of these buildings. And sometimes these doors would be unlocked and sometimes they wouldn't. So it was always like a hit or miss, but we were definitely getting our steps in, and it sucked when you got all the way to the top and it was for nothing. But there was definitely more successes than fails, I would say. But the Urban Explorer watch list, that was a kind of mind-boggling experience. So we're going.
Did your heart and stomach just drop?
It was just
a little bit of adrenaline.
It was kind of surreal, if you will. So we're walking into this building. I can't remember which building it was exactly, but whenever you go into a building trying to like take pictures and stuff, you always kind of got to be sneaky around the first floor security and stuff, because the last questions are just, you got to look like you know what you're doing, or where
not
you're,
have a
where
camera
you're going,
around your
you know?
neck.
Yeah, kind of be a little sly in that sense. But we were So we were walking into this building and we're passing by the security desk, and no one's at the desk at the time, but I just like happened to look over at the desk and there's a piece of paper sitting there that says Urban Explorer Watch List. And it's all these kids that I know that like at the time were all doing the same sort of thing, going on all the rooftops. And it was all of our Facebook pictures. It was me, Pappy, a whole bunch of other buddies.
They were tracking you guys on FB.
They had to have been. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, nothing ever came of it, but
like if you see this guy, don't let him in.
Yeah, right. It literally was. It was my picture actually of me on a rooftop was my Facebook profile picture at the time, and it was just like, boom, TreySarmento, yada, 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 yada. All these people. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. We should probably...
Like, they have a task force for this.
Yeah, we should probably turn around, man.
Yeah,
so
keep moving. Did you turn around?
I think we actually... That was the time we actually did get stopped by security there, and we had to talk our way out of some things. So we didn't end up getting to the roof of that one. Yeah. I think we did get stopped and had to evac.
Whatever.
Yeah, don't come back unless you're going to get arrested.
There's more where that came from.
Another crazy story about roof-topping. We were with some buddies who showed us this incredible spot. Very insane, very sketchy. But it was in this huge apartment building downtown Detroit. Again, can't remember which one. But we basically just take this elevator in this random building. He's like, they just know a spot. So we're like, all right, sure, show us what's up. And we take the elevator all the way up and we get out and it's just like a hallway, like, you know, like a apartment building or hotel or what have you. We just we're walking down this hallway and we just turn into a random door, and it's like not even like closed. It's like half open, you know, and he just pushes it open. Empty, like penthouse apartment, like huge.
Whoa,
like
I haven't heard this part.
Spiral staircase and everything.
What?
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
I imagine it's like the dead of night in the winter time and stuff. Or what's
this was during the day, actually. This was pretty. Yeah, we were reckless back then. I would not have advised. Just walk into this random building or random penthouse, and it must be like for rent or something. I don't know why the door wasn't unlocked or how they even found this place to begin with. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we go in there and we just there's a whole balcony and stuff. We're able to get the shots we need, and ended up getting out of there scot-free. But that was probably the most sketchy, or what felt like the most unwanted place to be.
Yeah, you could just kind of feel it. You're like, this is...
It wasn't right. It wasn't right.
I can dig that. When was the first time you decided to press record? Because like we're talking photography.
Yeah, so I definitely started out with photography, obviously. The first time I pressed record, though, man.
Not literally, but you know what I mean.
I wanted to get into video because I felt like I already had a grasp on some photo. I think I might have taken a couple photo classes before I got into video as well. So like I was rooftoping and doing all those shenanigans, and then I was like, all right, let's take it to the next step. So I ended up signing up at WCC for their photo classes, and went through a couple of those.
Photo or video?
Photo first.
Okay.
Yep. So I think I got the grasp of like Lightroom and Photoshop, and then obviously I'm like, ooh, what's this? Adobe, After Effects, yada yada. So
it comes with a whole suite.
Yeah, right. Let's explore the rest of it. But I think that's kind of where video came, is just like, hey, I have one frame, let's turn it into 24 a second. So I think just getting that overall concept of photography down, composition down, how to color an image, and like what I really want out of an image down first before even diving into video, I think kind of helped out tremendously. And I kind of advise that to people who are into video. Try taking a photo class as well, or like if you're trying to get into video, maybe try taking a photo class first to get the basics down.
Well, I mean, it's going to teach you it's going to teach you how to manually operate a camera, what your 5 settings are, how to properly expose an image, you know.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, taking that camera out of auto and switching it into M and learning shutter speed, ISO, all that jazz. So,
and I kind of got lucky because obviously Trey, like you took all those classes and stuff, you know.
I was just able to vomit it all.
Yeah, you just vomited it all out to me in like a year, and I was like, okay, sick. And I remember there were times when I'd be like, yo, Trey, let me borrow your camera. I'm going to go shoot my buddy's show tonight. And actually, no. So before all of that stuff, before I even started chilling with y'all, I was shooting all my buddy's bands on a T6i with kit lenses. And I was like, yo, it's way too dark. I can't get nothing at 3.5. So then I pulled the trigger on the 18 to 35 Sigma Art, the 1.8 like way back in the day, and at the time
You had that?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was the one we used before I sold it to 97 PK. Remember? And
well,
then
I had one too.
you had one, but you had one for like Nikon, I think, right?
No, I had it. It was a Canon because that was when I first got the Sony. I got it with the MC11 adapter, but
yeah,
I don't remember. Yeah,
I had one too because I remember talking to Garrett Sammons. Shout out to him for also helping lead the way. He was like, dude, you gotta get something faster than that if you're like trying to shoot these bands and live shows and stuff. And I was like, okay, but then when I started chilling with y'all, I was like, dude, this T6i is pretty sweet, but I mean, this A7S II is also pretty sweet, and I use the T6i a lot still. But when we were doing video, I would go to my buddies' shows and start doing videos for them. And you literally stood over my shoulder for like 2 or 3 shows, and you were watching what I was doing with the camera, and you would like take your hand and grab the top of the camera, and you'd be like, slow down, just you don't have to move so fast, just slower movement, and it'll be fine. Quicker shots, slower movement. And I was like, oh, okay. So
time and place for both, but I mean, exactly.
It's
a difference than like dancing with the camera per se.
Yeah, exactly. Which that's also funny.
I remember when I first got the A7S II. That was probably like my first big purchase, I would say.
Well, you had it with the G Master 16-35 too.
Not at first. I when I first bought it, because I was like, oh my gosh, full frame lenses are so damn expensive. Mm-hmm. I ended up just going with the MC11 and the Sigma. Mm-hmm. Bad decision. Don't do that. It's shooting in the APS-C mode versus your full frame sensor. Obviously, is just like night and day.
Yeah.
But I remember when I first got that camera and like bringing it to school, it was like everyone was like, "What? You got the Sony A7S II?" Like that was the hot shit back then.
And it's funny because specifically your camera for some reason was stuck, like your manual button was broken.
Oh yeah,
your little wheel on top, so you couldn't switch it out of manual, and we would always get a kick out of that because it like wouldn't spin at all.
Mm-hmm. But that was kind of the big jump, I would say, into video. I mean, obviously because I was shooting on a Nikon D3200, which is
because then you got into your color correction and you can do all that good stuff.
Well, I mean, Nikon, the Nikon doesn't even shoot log and stuff, so like that was a huge struggle to begin with. It's obviously the photo camera, but that Sony really, I grew with it. I spent we did so many projects.
You just got rid of that thing like not even a year and a half ago.
Yeah, switched over to Team Fuji.
Yep.
That thing, I mean, the A7S II just started collecting dust, so I was like, I'll get a photo camera. We're shooting on a Blackmagic now for video, so separate the two, So, I mean, Fuji, what we're shooting on right now, still takes great video, but yeah, it was time to upgrade. I think I needed just a couple more megapixels for the photos and stuff. So
yeah, and I mean honestly, because I have an A7 III and I was using that for video a lot as well. But as the company's grown a lot, like I haven't really touched the camera as much because Trey's obviously the DP and I handle a lot of the producing and like the client bases and stuff like that. So one of the things that it doesn't get to me, but sometimes I do kind of miss the camera a little bit. So it's nice when we have like live events where we 2-man it.
Right.
That still actually happens pretty frequently sometimes where we can just go into the crowd and.
Yeah, all our live event stuff, like, I mean, the Blackmagic is great and all, but it's definitely a per use kind of case. I'm not taking the Blackmagic out into the crowd and trying to shoot a whole live event with that. I
saw somebody doing that last night and I was like, what?
I mean, you can, but it's really impractical, and especially like when I'm working with Mersive a bunch, they're having me do photo and video. So like I would have to either have another camera around my back and do it that way, or just get a Fuji or something like that does both decent,
Plus you don't want to risk getting the laser in the Blackmagic.
Yeah, I mean, a laser in any camera is not fun. That happened to my A7S II. I got a little dead pixel. It's from that, I think it's in our reel, that shot at Bonnaroo with the lasers bouncing down the middle aisle there. I think that's what the culprit was that killed it. But
you knew when it happened, you were like, ooh.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't anything that a little spot removal tool in Lightroom couldn't fix. You couldn't see it in the video. It was just the photo. So yeah, I programmed a preset that I could just like when I was shooting on that, I could just select all my photos, sync it for the spot removal, and it would take out just that little piece. So there's workarounds, but yeah, dead pixels aren't fun.
No, I wouldn't say so. So where else should we take it from here?
I wanted to talk about just like that crazy difference that I experienced when way back in the day when I was on the Nikon, still on the kit lens, and I bought what did I have for it was a Sigma Nikon. I want to say it was like,
I only knew you when you had that Nikon for like a couple months.
I want to say I had like a 35 prime and maybe something variable. I can't quite remember, but I just that difference for anyone new to the game, photography, videography, whatever. The biggest difference I saw, like with throwing aftermarket lens on as opposed to the stock lens that it came with, the kit lens, was just, I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, this camera can actually take a decent photo, you know? So
Definitely.
as to where before I was just like, yeah, these are kind of pretty new looking images. But the second I popped on a Sigma or like something decent, it was like,
Night and day.
wow. But that being said, the Fujis and stuff, they have, I mean, amazing kit lenses and stuff now too. I mean, granted, kit lenses, I guess, are starting to get better now, but I mean, I just remember back in the day, it was like, they were not good.
Well, yeah, especially for, the Fujis and stuff that are coming out, but those Canon like Rebel series kit lenses, man,
Exactly.
they're selling it to your mom on Mother's Day as well.
Yeah, any camera kit that you buy off Best Buy, you best just throw that lens away.
Or keep it in the backup just in case you need a little prop.
Yeah, you can smash the lens and get some cool effects out of it, you know?
God. Oh, man. Yeah, so like one of the things that people ask me a lot, and they're not even really asking me, they're kind of more of telling me, where it's like, oh man, like I can't believe you guys have this or that. And when I mean people, I don't mean like the higher tier production people that we work with, like Internet of Detroit. But back when we were at WCC, they were like, oh, you guys bought this or you bought that, or like, what the hell's going on? Like, how can you guys afford all that stuff? And I remember it wasn't like I went out and bought it, or like you went out and bought it. In certain instances it was, but because the three of us, before Liam got that cannabis job, the three of us would pool all of our equipment together. And then because we pooled all of our equipment together, we could slowly start to take more jobs and actually turn a profit with the equipment that we had. Because I see a lot of videographers out here when they're first starting in the game, especially with like Detroit music videos, you know, it's like, I got a A6000 with a kit lens and a Ronin and I'm good to go. And it's like, I get it.
Flying around the streets, baby.
Yeah, I get it. And it's great, you know, but like if you really want to up your game, it really helps to like click in with people and collaborate and do the things that you need to do to get your money up.
Yeah, I mean, I could say, yeah, there's definitely a threshold or a limit with a one-man band. There was a lot of times that back in the early days that I was stubborn and I was like, nah, I can do this myself. I have a vision, yada, yada. But like having a team is really what takes it to the next level. And like when you guys all can come together creatively and work together, that's what really makes those great projects. Because yeah, there's definitely a limit like to just yourself. I mean,
and you don't get burnt out as much because, you know, like somebody else is like having your back in the edit.
You can take all the weight off your shoulders and you're not just killing yourself every single day. Because I mean, you'll eventually want some lighting setups or some technical shots or something like that, or like always wanting that next step. And like what people don't really realize when they're just looking at these pictures on Instagram and stuff is like there's a whole set behind this. And there's like a lot. Like, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen like the simple like 007 like car pictures where it's like just a simple driving in the car shot, but it's like the whole car is built out. Like it gets crazy.
Or you're on Vimeo and you watch like a, you know, pick of the week and the credits roll and you're like, holy shit, that's like a 30-person crew. Like that's a 2-minute short.
Yeah, for a short film. So there's definitely power in numbers, and I can't stress that enough. But like to bring it back to like WCC and like pooling our gear and stuff, one of like the huge benefits of running Drop.Creative and stuff is having this like backbone of a company to where we're always putting money back into it per project. And because doing that, then we can have this money to then spend on gear or whatever that may be to further our craft. So I think that's a huge part. And it's not just like, I mean, I definitely still spend my own money on gear and knickknacks more than I should. But having a company to buy those things too definitely helps further your craft. I mean,
for this podcast setup, for example, like we just came up with this idea like a couple days ago. We're like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah,
we can do it.
But yeah, that's the beauty of being able to have that tangible fun to dip into, you know. So
yeah, I think another really cool thing that a lot of people don't realize when they're first getting started off in the game is like you can shoot shows for free. And it's not that bad, especially when you're just getting into the game, because it's like, I remember that me and you have had this conversation before back in the day when other people would say something to you along those lines. And I heard you say one time, you were like, man, like, don't even start. Like, do you know how many shows I shot for free? Like, do you know how many photo pits I was just in because I wanted to get in there, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a value to that. I mean, definitely don't just be offering out your services for free, but like, to get that that practice or that foot in the door. I mean, you're only going to meet connections and grow as an artist from there is just by doing the work simply. So I think, shooting shows, doing spec work, all that stuff is definitely crazy valuable.
Yeah. We're actually doing some spec work tomorrow.
Yeah. We got a Porsche ad. We're going to try and knock out of the park. We got this 1963
it's like
Roadster.
Early 60s Roadster.
Yeah, we're gonna take it out on the old Huron River Drive.
Yeah. Shout out to Steve Zarbo, one of my really good friends growing up. His family collects Porsches. It's like kind of a hobby that his father's had for a really long time. So it's been nice too, because Steve's also been really into collecting cars and doing stuff throughout his youth. So like, even back in the day when he had like the BMWs, like the E30, is that what it is? The E30?
Yeah, when we took it out and something, drifted it all around.
Yeah, exactly. So like that type of shit, you know, just like, yo, you got a sweet motorcycle or you got a dope car, like let me do some photo stuff or some video stuff with it too. I mean,
and really the whole reasoning behind us doing this spec project, I mean, we're busy in our own realms and stuff of work, but we wanted to kind of step out of like what we normally do and kind of expand our horizon into this action sports, motorsports kind of field. Especially for me growing up in that world, it's kind of always been a passion of mine or a dream of mine to get more involved in that sort of thing on the media side. So what better way if like any of you guys have interests and you're like, oh man, I want to go do this video or photo related, like the best way to do it is practice it, do spec work, and knock that out of the park. So
and actually dump the footage and edit it too. A lot of people I see like shoot all the time, and I'm just like, what are you doing? And like, what's up? Like, can I see it? And they're just like, oh well, like I haven't gotten to it yet, or this or that. And it's like, editing can be intimidating, but like once again, if you're with people and you have more heads on it and everybody can kind of put their own creative sauce on it, I think it can push things a little farther.
Yeah, I feel the longer you wait on a project that's already in the oven, and by in the oven, it's just a term that we use. I mean, by already have shot the footage, it's on a hard drive, ready to be edited or editing. We kind of use the term in the oven. When it's in the oven, though, the longer you wait, the harder and harder it is to go back and revisit that
totally.
thing.
Especially because you're not familiar with your shots, you lose motivation, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We're only at 30 minutes right now, so you know we're gonna try to keep this one at an hour today, just because it's the beginning. Depending on who's gonna be on in the future and whatnot, and whenever we get on a roll, they can go longer. But
I wanted to talk. We were touching on live events a little bit here, but I wanted to talk about Immersive a little bit here on just like how that came to be, because I know a lot of people have asked me like, how'd you get affiliated with Immersive, like yada yada yada. So really that whole thing, I mean, I've known that whole crew now for going on probably like 4 to 5 years. It was the first ever event that I worked with them was actually a event I was shooting for free. So a lot of music festivals, you'll run into the situation where they'll be like, here's a free pass, you can shoot type deal. And like starting off, that's a great way, again, to get your foot in the door. But so that was the position that I was in. I was at this.
And keep in mind, they're not going to give you that free pass unless you can show them other work, which you've done for free.
Right. You know I mean, that's like the very early stages, getting your foot in the door of like that whole live event.
Yes. Don't do free stuff, but get good at what you're doing first.
Well, yeah. But yeah, so we were at this small honky donk festival on the west side of the state. Not honky donk. It was pretty dope. It was just a little small.
What festival?
The More Flow Festival.
Oh yeah, okay.
Not the one that we went to, but the one before that, the one that I broke my leg at.
Oh yeah.
So I was shooting this music festival, and I was messing around on a slack line, and I ended up
partying, having too much fun.
No, I was dead sober. I didn't have no fun in my system. I was I was on a slack line, and I mean, I've walked a slack line before. It wasn't high. It was like a foot off the ground, if that. Mad Mike was actually with us. Shout out to him too. Badass graphic designer. Mm-hmm. So I was on the slack line, and I just went to go jump off. And when I jumped off, my weight, like, I must have like sent just a little bit back, and I went to go land on my back foot, and it was just like
Hall of Meat special.
It was great. Yeah. Mad Mike said he thought I had a water bottle in my back pocket.
Because of the sound.
Because of the crunch.
Cracked.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Ooh.
Yeah. I didn't think it was broken either. I actually drove home with a broken leg. I broke my tibia and fibia, and I drive a stick, and I was with my girlfriend, and she can't drive a stick. So I was like, well, I'm either going to a hospital out here in the middle of nowhere on the west side of the state, probably Grand Rapids or something, and they're going to wrap my foot up like the size of a moon boot. So, and then I really can't drive.
Yeah,
or
geez.
I tough it out and drive to St. Joe's and go all the way over there. So thankfully I did, because I would have been screwed with a broken tibia and fibia in the hospital in Grand Rapids.
Thankfully you weren't in too much pain.
But that was the first festival that I actually met the whole Mersive crew. So
Mind Warp.
And I believe Mersive, he wasn't even going as Mersive. I think he was still Benoit at the time. It's his, yeah.
That was back when Joey was what also?
Joey was Wiley, and Joey I don't think was at that festival. So Joey Wiley, he's actually a great friend of mine. I've known him like throughout high school and stuff, like super long time. He also produces music, and he's managed by the same manager as Mersive. So
he still doesn't go by Wiley, right?
No, he's RZA now.
Yeah,
so
RZA.
yeah, he's working under that name now, creating some pretty dope stuff. But yeah, so Joey's really the tie, or the one to thank, I guess, for introducing me to that whole crew, you know.
Hell yeah.
But again, it wasn't like, it was a lot of free work, a lot of getting my foot in the door, showing them what I could do, like just showing your value in a sense, you know, to gain that trust and gain that relationship, to then like be his photographer and videographer, you know. That was so yeah, Joey's manager, again, Mind Warp Management, Taylor and Cam, the two big dogs up there, are the two. Taylor, Cam, Tynan, and Will are the main dudes up there running it. They're all out in Colorado. So
yeah, and shouts out to Cam too, because I've still never met the dude. I don't even know what he looks like.
Oh yeah, but he's gotten us in. Like, we shot Juice WRLD.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Like, I remember we were in class because we were still WCC students, and Trey was like, "Yo, I think I can get you in to Juice WRLD tonight." And I was like, "What, dog? Are you kidding me?" Because I was a huge Juice fan at the time. And I remember you weren't really. You were kind of like, I don't even really know who this
sad
is.
Boy shit.
Yeah, you were like, that's sad boy, dog. And I was like, dude, I'm a sad boy. Like, that's my shit. So that was probably one of the coolest live events I ever shot. Was that?
R.I.P. Juice.
Yeah, R.I.P. Juice.
But yeah, that was a pretty cool show.
I remember we were leaving because we had got taken out of the pits because you can only be in there for a certain amount of time. And we went to the
unlock.
Yeah.
When you run into the bigger artists, for anyone that doesn't know, like if you're into live events, if you're shooting for a bigger artist, normally photo pits only open for 15 minutes unless you're like their photographer. So
yeah,
just something to note. You got to get your shot. And when you're shooting with bigger artists, just hang with me here. It's really, it's a struggle in the sense that, like, let's say when I was shooting for like Gucci Mane at Bonnaroo, it was like I'm shooting next to like 10 other different photographers.
And they're all doing.
Well, they're all getting like the same shot, you know. So it's kind of just like a like feeling, you know. But like that's, I guess, what just comes with like that sort of like A-list celebrity, if you will.
Get your
it's
clout
like
up.
Everyone's trying to get that shot, but I mean,
yeah. But I mean, you also can push it because like the Gucci Man shit that you've done with, like, you know, I don't want to say exactly how you're doing it, but you know, but that movement.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's
you can take your
the thing.
You're taking your recycled photos and then pushing it even further, which is like, I guarantee you, some of those people still have that shit just sitting on a hard drive.
I mean, that's the biggest thing, is just making your work stand out from the rest, you know, because everyone can take a picture with a high megapixel camera and throw a filter on it or whatever you want to do with it, and
I remember that Juice show, I almost didn't get in because I didn't have a full frame camera. That was like one of the stipulations.
What?
I remember you told me, you were like, you don't have a full frame, and that's kind of a thing. So like, you might not be able to get in, and then we had to get the okay.
Maybe I was just being an asshole about it. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, I bought a full frame, but either way, it doesn't matter. That was one of the things that pushed me, and I had the L series 24-70, and I was like, what the fuck am I even doing with this full frame glass? Like on my little A6500, and 6500s were expensive at the time for me, and now they have like all the 63s and 62s are basically the same shit, but. I want to talk a little bit more about spec work. So we had mentioned that earlier, and opportunity cost in spec work is like a really important thing. So it's like, and once again, this is all catered to people that are just kind of getting into video to start. But it also speaks true to the larger projects. Stick with your clients and stick with the people who want to work with you, and do that stuff for them the best that you can. Because it's like, one of our biggest gigs that we got at the very beginning was not at the very beginning, but like in the past few years, was like some of those Sony gigs that we were getting, and then that's how we got on the good lists with some of the creative directors out in New York and RCA guys and all that stuff. And those gigs still come in from time to time, and it's always nice when you see that thing pop up in your email, like, bing, hey guys, what's up? But that only happened because some of the artists that we were working with, I remember when we were back at the studio, and PC was telling us about his boy Courtney, and he was like, yeah, my boy Courtney Bell, like, he's about to get signed, he's doing this, he's doing that, like, we got to get you guys to do a music video for him. And like, keep in mind, we weren't burned out on music videos, but when we were just getting started, we did so many fucking music videos. It was insane. So
we
were
starting to learn that like we didn't really want to be those guys, if you will. But
I
mean,
mean,
there's those opportunities that come along, sometimes you just can't say no.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of differences between, like, you know, shooting a music video for your local rapper in the studio versus like shooting a music video for a rapper that's a really good rapper that's got a budget, and you can actually like have your creative control, make a banger, and do the things that you want to do. But it's like, that wouldn't have happened. You gonna check it? Yeah. Whatever. That wouldn't have happened unless like we stuck with that person, because PC kept saying, it was like almost 2 years. I remember like 2 years was the first time he ever said like, yeah, my boy Courtney's about to get signed. And like,
oh yeah,
he would say it like from time to time, and like 2 years had passed, and then he would say it every once in a while again, like, I'm telling you guys, keep your calendars open because we're gonna get moving on this. So like, when we say jump, let's go. I
mean, it started to become a thing where we were like, okay, here's exactly. This like dangling carrot.
Yeah,
like, we'll see it when we didn't
trust him or anything, but it was just like, okay, yeah, like you've been saying that, like, let's do it, like, let us know. And then it happened, and when it happened so fast, and it was just like, okay. And that could have only happened because we were, you know.
Well, we sat down and had that initial conversation when like. So Courtney was signed with Sony and RCA, and they approached us with this 3 music video deal to knock out these 3 music videos. And we kind of all sat down as a team and we're like, look, like, this is probably one of the biggest opportunities that we've gotten. Let's take this budget, which was a decent...
We're still in our...
Which were decent budgets for music videos, to actually do some cool stuff with it. So we all kind of made the decision to invest all the money that we were getting from those music videos right back into it. And like, we could have taken fat paychecks, all of us, and like
ran with it. Like, yo, we got paid that one time.
Yeah, but we took that money and invested it all into it, and we had literally a 30-person crew at one of the shoots, you know.
And shouts out to, you know, we're talking about PSA, shouts out to every single person that was on that crew, because everybody was busting ass and not everybody was fairly compensated. And when I mean fairly compensated, I mean paid at all. But it was also one of those things where it was like, yo, all of us as homies, especially because we all weren't really like big in the game at that point. You know, the person that would like kind of scooped us up and was like, yo, boys, like, I'll tell you how to do it. I'll teach you how to do it. Was Jack Anderson. Shouts out to Jack. And he was just like, he had so much knowledge from real set experience and just other things like that, where it was like, this person is going to help us out a lot.
I would just say like the little things that you never think of he was bringing up. And it's like, oh, like, I don't know. I can't remember anything off the top of my head, but like just pipe and drape. We need to get that for the thing. And it's just like, where do we get that then? And he's like, oh, I've dealt with this guy before. So having someone that's always like, that brings up a good point. Having someone that's better than you on set or just like in life in general, I think is a very valuable thing to just be around, you know, because you're always learning and you never want to be like the smartest person in the room, people say, you know. So.
Right. The most valuable piece of information my brother-in-law taught me, Alex, was you're the average of all your friends. So it's like you and your friends will do stuff because you're comfortable doing them, because that's your comfortable spot. You know, like if it's a Saturday night, it might be nice to go to the bar or do nothing, you know. And I love my friends, and they've been my friends since I was a child, you know what I mean? But like some of them aren't necessarily doing what they need to be doing. But then when I meet people like Jack, and then I get introduced to some of the bigger sets in Detroit, when I'm working with those other people, it's like, okay, these are the people that I want to be around. And the only way you can bump up is by surrounding yourself with other people that are better than you, because they're just going to put you with other people that are better than you again. Even when you get to their level, that just puts you in a whole nother realm as a smaller fish in a bigger pond. And I think that's like one of the most important things, because if you're just hanging out with your friends, no matter what, you're just going to be right in the middle. Like if you got losers as friends and you've got people that are amazing, like doing their shit, you're right in the middle.
Very true.
You're the average of all your friends.
Exactly. What was I about to say here?
You talking about like ICE or reinvesting or any of that stuff?
It was on... Nope, I lost it.
It was on the tip of your tongue.
It was right there.
It's okay, we're going to have to get you a notepad.
We need to have a laptop right here.
Yeah, also, we don't have anybody to Google stuff for us in the background.
We don't have a little Jamie.
Yeah, little Jamie. Pull that up.
But
soon.
There's not that much to pull up on our live stories.
Yet.
Yeah,
we're going to, throughout this podcast, like I said, we're going to have guests, and we've already got a list of guests going, and everything from directors to producers to, you know, like grips and all that stuff, because everybody's got cool stories to tell. And for now, we're just going to kind of keep it on drop and see where this goes. Maybe 5 or 6 episodes. Who knows?
I did remember what I was going to say about
Say it right now. Do it right before you lose it.
Fuck, I lost it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Say it.
I was going to say, when you were talking about whatever you're talking about there, it really comes down to, I mean, skill is a big part of this profession and just being a creative, if you will. But like, I can't stress how much it's like just who you know. I mean, everyone knows that, but like, there's so many people out there. Granted, there's just as many people that are extremely talented and stuff, but like, there's people out there that have just like gotten so far solely on like who they know and like where that has gotten them, and like not even their work speaking for them. It's just like their connections. So like getting out there and meeting your community and stuff and your like just film world is like very important, I feel like, just as far as
you're not wrong. I mean,
growing as a creative. I mean, just working with Detroit cats and like all of those. I mean, it's a really big community, if you will, of film dudes that it's like, it's really nice to just see all that happen, you know?
Mm-hmm. And it's nice to meet all those people, because you can learn from them and they like gas you up, and it's like a very supportive community, which is nice.
It's just like new perspectives, you know? Like they'll bring stuff to the table, like to do a certain way. I mean, there's no like one way to do something in filmmaking, you know? There's always like a million ways to do the same thing or something. So seeing other people's workflows and just how they operate is, you know, you can pick and choose what you want to learn and stuff, but it's really valuable.
And I know there are people, like specifically, I like to do a lot of documentary work, and I've been working on a piece for a very long time. And
I mean, we can dive into a whole episode with that documentary.
We'll get him on soon. We'll get him on soon. It's just there's too much unfolding. I can't stop filming. There's a lot of stuff happening there, but what I'm saying is specifically Wilkin. So Wilkin was kind of a mentor to me. Shouts out Matt Wilkin. When he was working on that Laith Al-Sadi piece, and we had just covered him at his Ann Arbor Top of the Park show, and we got all those banger shots. And at the beginning of this documentary, we were all kind of cutting together our own things. And I was in charge of kind of the intro and all that other stuff. He was kind of piecing together the story with all the interviews. And I was kind of also like splicing up all the B-roll and getting everything to where it needed to be on certain parts of the timeline. But I remember we had cut together, also shouts out to Liam Cares. He was helping me cut together this intro reel. And I had like got everything on the timeline and all that stuff, but he really helped me like make it pop. And I gave it to Matt, and he was just like, yeah, I mean, that's cool. Like, that's really awesome Instagram ad. Like, that's really in your face, like Drop.Creative showcase. Like, that's awesome. But like, that's not what this piece is. He's like, this isn't like to gas Lathe up or to do this or to do that. Like, I really want to slow it down a little bit. And I want to make sure that like the story doesn't get messed up or like it's too hype at the beginning and then slows down in the middle and vice versa. So it's just really interesting to sit down and talk with people and like learn their different storytelling techniques and tools and all that stuff, which is...
And that's a sort of thing too, where I'm assuming that you guys had pre-production and stuff for that piece as well, throughout the wazoo.
Oh yeah.
But like, even then with pre-production, I mean, like you can do so much, but then like when you're in the edit and stuff, sometimes the feeling is going to skew more than, or like skew one direction than what you originally thought. And like to really control that and tame that is like a whole skill in itself to like, I mean, there's been only, I can say, a few projects that have been like start to finish as far as like pre-production to like final deliverable of like exactly how I saw it or we saw it, you know? Like to be able to do that, I think is a very valuable skill and stuff to
they
nail
call it
to a T.
Killing the babies. You know what I mean? Like you got your baby and you know, you might have to kill it.
Yeah, he means by that, he means killing the good shots.
Your child.
So like
your actual child.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
if
we want to go there.
No, not the actual child. No, I'm just kidding.
It's just when you have those really good cuts in the timeline of those really nice shots, and you just want to keep them, but you got to kill that baby. It's a hard thing to do. Is kind of I think where that term comes from, which is pretty not PC, but hey, we'll roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Some people kill their babies on the timeline.
On the timeline.
That's the key word.
Just killing babies on the timeline.
Where we at? We're at. All right, we got like 10 minutes left. What do you think we should talk about for the last 10 minutes?
I mean, really, like, I guess the goal of this show is just to give ourselves a voice, you know, and just to give other people a voice to kind of just talk shop, if you will, of photo and video. Because I mean, I know we have stories for days that we could sit here and just rifle off. I mean, and so does everyone else. But I think we just kind of wanted to start this and get something going to have that outlet, you know, because I always talk to people on set and like it's always like a really quick catch up and like you can't really talk and just have that full blown conversation when you're also doing work and stuff. So
yeah,
I would love to use this opportunity, you know, to sit down with these people and everybody that we work with and just like you and I and stuff and just talk about our stories that we've experienced over the years and stuff and some non-work related environment shit.
Yeah,
you know? Because it's always work.
Yeah,
always work.
And I see Trey's face more through a computer screen because we just zoom,
steady zooming.
Yeah, steady zooming all the time. And then like, so whenever we see each other in person, it's like, holy shit, dude, it's nice to see your face.
Seriously, like, the physical form is nice.
Yeah,
you miss that.
Yeah,
until we're in the metaverse.
Yeah. Oh my god, don't even get me started on that. I'm not doing that. Yeah, but like, so that's a feeling that I get when I get off of set a lot, where it's like, you know, we just spent 3 days, for example, like doing intro stuff, not now, but like, you know, just an advertisement for some stuff. And you spend a long time doing it and you're working with people like, for example, one of my favorite people of all time is Trevor Stevens. His last name's Stevens, right?
The king of all grips.
Yeah, the king of all grips. Shout out Trevor. And just like his energy is so present, you know, and it's so hype.
Oh yeah, he's like running on 11.
He's up there all the time,
running circles around us.
And it's like when I remember when like I had been working with him for like probably a whole summer, just like either on our sets or on like other people's sets, like Peter's or any of that stuff. And it's always nice to run into them. And then when it's over, and you're wrapping those cables and you're loading into the truck. You're like, all right, dude, like,
bye.
Like,
I'll see you
give me
next
a hug.
time.
Yeah, like, all right, dude, like.
Yeah, so to bring people into this place, non-work environment where we have to be doing shit and just talking to them, you know? Mm-hmm. So I definitely feel that too. It's definitely that, like, I hope to see you soon again, like, kind of thing with, like, everyone on set. Because, I mean, we're all friends. We all love each other, you know? So
yeah,
to do something outside of work will be nice for once, you know? And
yeah, and I mean,
say I have a bad habit of that as well, is just sticking my nose down, and then I'm like, I lift my head up and I'm like, oh yeah, this is the...
There's a secret theory that Trey's actually a robot, and he's like, doesn't do anything else besides screen related stuff, especially with video. Yeah, it's like all the time. It's like, dude, get up, like, let's go do something. You're like, I don't know, dude, kind of busy.
I mean, when there's some fire footage on the timeline, it's
go.
hard to walk away.
So find somebody.
I gotta kill those babies.
Find somebody who's passionate in what they're doing, stick with them and stuff, and you guys can always encourage each other and do all your great shit. But
yeah, I would say moral of the podcast here: you can't do it by yourself. You can, but only to a certain extent. So
yeah,
find people you love working with. Sometimes opposites attract. Sometimes relationships don't work out in business too. It gets really sticky with just all, like, handling money, and as well as being friends, and like just with a bunch, like, everyone, you know, it gets really dicey at times. But like,
if you don't think me and
just
Trey,
finding that middle ground is where it's at.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you don't think me and Trey have never like been like at each other's necks, like yelling at each other over like a few $100 or some stupid shit like in the past, like, you're wrong. It's been there.
It happens, but yeah, that's the sticky part about working with your friends. But like finding that balance and finding each other's balance, you know, and what, or like whoever you're working with, it doesn't have to be a duo, it can be a trio, whatever, you know. So just finding that middle ground and like laying out your guys' goals. Hopefully you guys have similar goals and stuff to be able to work towards that one goal. So
yeah, totally. And this, what is it? It's 10 o'clock at night. We got to shoot tomorrow.
We gotta go to bed.
Yeah, we gotta shoot tomorrow at, what is call time? 7
o'clock call time. I'm gonna be up at
like 5:30. Yeah, exactly.
Let's get it.
But before we wrap this up real quick, what I was saying, you know, it is 10 o'clock at night. We're a little low energy. We're a little chill. We're just kind of feeling this podcast out. But things are gonna, you know, be fun. We want to, like I said, bring all the homies on, and we've only got 2 mics now. And we have the other ones. They're just not set up yet.
We have 4, so we have capabilities to have a couple more people. But.
Yeah, and I mean, once we get the email up and running, we're going to be asking people questions like, you know, send us an email of like, what's your favorite thing at Crafty? Or like, you know.
If you guys have any questions too, like hit us up on Instagram and we can answer them on the next episode and what have you. So.
Yeah, the Dropcast Instagram is up. It's The.DropCast, all one word with a period in between the and Dropcast. And then, you know, you obviously should know all of our other Instagrams, hopefully, which is, you know, Drop.Creative, Camera.Cowboy, and TreySarmento. But if you don't, give those a follow. These are also going to be going up on YouTube. And when we figure the Spotify thing out, we're going to put those up there too, so you can just stream them from Spotify as well. Anything else?
I think that's the first episode of the Dropcast. I mean, that went pretty well.
Yeah, I'm getting a little...
I don't mind hearing myself talk here in these headphones, and kind of getting used to it.
Yeah, so. People said I had radio voice, and then I hear it on the podcast. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Usually, I just feel like I sound super annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel I sound like I'm like, hello, hi.
But yeah, so we're gonna have fun with it. Hope you guys can stick around. I think that's episode 1.
Yeah.
Any last words?
Stay golden out there, guys.
Yeah. Let's go load up the gear.
Yeah, we got cameras built, and we got to load up the vehicles and of the non-important stuff, and get the fuck to sleep.
Yep. All right. Bye, everybody. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Peace.